Part 206. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei-Shi Niang. Chapter 2052. Zhang Chen turned around and said to Lao Tuo, "You should also give me some advice. I don't have any objections. It's too late for me to eat. Do you have any other objections? It's so delicious. Every dish here is so delicious." Lao Mo was chewing in his mouth, shaking his chopsticks in his hand and said, "By the way, Mr. Zhang, can you eat this dish at your Tuxianjiayuan hotel in the future? If you can't eat it, you can only order it on the Food Men and Women website, and our chef will come to your door to make it," Zhang Chen said. The old man kept nodding his head. Okay, then when you open the business, I will fool a few investors and order it at home." "You are so hard-working, why do you still have a family at home?" Lu Ligan asked. "It doesn't match your image of being a drag." "Of course we won't start a business. I usually take out lunch boxes." "No, don't Mr. Zhang have chefs and waiters here? I just need to have a place and set a table," Lao Mo said. Zhang Chen was right, that was indeed the case. "Then you have to be mentally prepared, the price is not cheap," Lu Ligan teased the old lady. Lao leaned back in his chair and smiled. "Why, Mr. Lu, do you look down on me? If it's expensive, I'll order it myself. Of course I won't be able to part with it, but it doesn't matter. Investors are very flattering to me, and those old haters will pay for it. Come on, it's not the screenwriter who wants to curry favor with the investors, but the investors want to curry favor with the screenwriter? Don't fool me that I don't understand your business," Lu Ligan said. I know that Mr. Lu is also a screenwriter," Lao Mo laughed, "but this screenwriter is different from a screenwriter. Ordinary screenwriters have to please investors, but people like me have already passed it. It's that stage." "What are you, a gold medal screenwriter?" Lu Ligan asked. "I am a Sanbu adapted drama," Lao Mo said. "Lu Ligan, what do you mean? Even in the play I wrote, the story, characters and dialogue are not allowed to be changed. It must be done once and for all," the old man said proudly. "This person who comes to me must be clearly written in the contract." "Awesome, that means you're a big name," Gu Gong said from the side. "For a chef like Fatty Fu, when the other chefs are cooking, they stand by and are respectful and don't dare to point fingers. You in the world of screenwriters, it seems that he has reached the status of Fatty Fu." Lao Mo smiled and acquiesced. Zhang Chen was a little strange and asked, "Even if you are an investor, no matter what you are, the director will communicate with you if anything happens. Why do investors still want to curry favor with you? Now is different from before. In the past, you could make TV series and movies with tens or even millions. Now, the investment in a movie can easily reach tens of millions or hundreds of millions. A movie can't be enough for a whole family, and there are just a few investors. The partners, those old haters, who invest in movies and TV series, most likely do it so that their mistresses can appear on the screen and on the screen. But with such a huge investment, no one dares to let their own woman be the lead actor. The lead actor must be a popular celebrity, otherwise the show will not be successful and the investment will be lost. Besides, he is not the only investor. There are women who want to be admired by others. At this time, everyone is competing with each other and no one dares to show off too much. What should I do if I encounter someone like me who refuses to adapt a drama again? Those women who are obsessed with playing roles of 3, 4, and 5 in the drama want to show more faces and have more roles. The best way is, aren't you here to curry favor with me and make me use my pen? If I don't like it and don't have a single line, I'll tell you to get out, or change your identity to some kind of cleaning staff, or a stupid rookie in the company, and you will be disgraced every time you appear. Those women, they don't even want to have a smooth face, so why don't they cry to the old hat? If the old hat doesn't ask me to change my character and give me more scenes, what can they do? the old man said proudly, and everyone suddenly realized that this was what happened. It seemed that the investor, in order to gain face with those women, really wanted to show off his old face and curry favor with the old man. Luligan cried. Okay, I didn't expect that today's screenwriters are so good. Should I go back to my old job? Okay, Mr. Lu, hurry up and become my teacher now. Lao Mo chuckled, I can lead you in this industry and save you 5 years of hard work. Luligan looked at the old mop and asked, then do I have to start wearing flip-flops? The old man sneered, hey, Mr. S style is as high as the mountains and the rivers are long. Why can you just learn it casually? Everyone laughed so loudly that their stomachs almost hurt from laughing. They felt that putting these two guys together, Lao Mo and Luligan, was like talking about crosstalk. While they were talking and joking, the food was still being served. Although the portion of each dish is very small, only enough for 1 or 2 chopsticks per person, it cannot support the large quantity. One dish after another keeps coming. Everyone keeps eating here, and the waiters keep removing empty plates and serving new dishes. Everyone's stomachs were full, but they still couldn't help but try every dish. They had no choice, they had never seen this dish before, and it looked so delicious, and irresistible. The old man was full of emotions. He said, no matter how delicious the food is, you can't stop eating it like this. Why does it feel a bit cruel to nature? After eating, my tongue is a bit slow. I'm sorry for this new dish. In one sentence, he expressed all the thoughts that everyone wanted to say but could not say. Zhang Chen smiled and said, eating today is part of it, and letting everyone give their opinions is part of it, so it needs to be shown in such a concentrated manner. Mr. Zhang, you can entertain the guests for a week. Lao Mo said shamelessly, you can give your opinion slowly, that kind of opinion is the most accurate. I just want to go back tonight and reflect on it before I can say anything. 3. The main reason is that Fatty Fu is going back tomorrow. Gu Gong said, he has been out for too long and said that the air in Hangzhou is not good and he can't get used to it. He is used to staying in Sanya. He can't get used to it when he goes out. He is not even used to going back to his hometown in Hunan. This time, he has been here for more than a month, almost 2 months, which is the longest time he has been away. Zhang Chen nodded, it was indeed the case. After the recipe was written, Fatty Fu told Hui Huanzili that he was going back to Sanya. If anything happened, he could call him. Only then did Zhang Chen think of arranging today's meeting. At the banquet, he wanted Fatty Fu to see the results of his hard work during this period. For a craftsman, nothing can give him a greater sense of satisfaction than putting his craftsmanship in front of everyone and getting everyone's praise. You can't tell a painter that after the last stroke of painting, you immediately take away his painting without letting him even take a look at your work. There was a round of applause downstairs, it was really lively. Zhang Chen and the others didn't know what was going on. After a while, they saw Fatty Fu coming upstairs with a smile, followed by his 3 apprentices, Hui Huan and Zili. And Du Tao. Everyone upstairs couldn't help but stand up and applauded. At noon the next day, Zhang Chen, Zhang Xiangbei, Gu Gong, and Fatty Fu's 3 apprentices went to Xiaoshan International Airport to take Fatty Fu back to Sanya. Originally, Zhang Chen wanted Hui Huan to accompany Fatty Fu back. He said no, the driver would pick him up at the airport when he arrived in Sanya. It was such a long way and it was so busy here, running back and forth, which was quite annoying. Hui Huan and Zili both had red eyes. Zili said, I will pick up the master when we open here. Fatty Fu said, it's no good. My Tuo, I'm in Sanya, waiting for you to open this store to Sanya go. Zili and Du Tao nodded and said, Master, we will definitely do it. Fatty Fu returned to Sanya for 2 days. At around 9 o'clock in the morning, Zhang Chen just walked into his office and sat down. His cell phone rang. Zhang Chen lowered his head and glanced. It was Cao Minfang. For some reason, Zhang Chen's heart skipped a beat. One time. Zhang Chen quickly picked up the phone. As soon as the call came through, Cao Minfang choked on the other end of the phone. Mr. Zhang, old Fu, Fatty Fu has left. Ah, Zhang Chen's heart sank and he quickly asked, what's going on? The driver picked him up in the morning. When the nanny saw the driver, she was surprised and said that she had already been to the old man's room upstairs and didn't see him. She thought he had gone to the hotel. The two of them went to look for him immediately. I found Lao Fu in the guest room on the first floor, and he had already left, Cao Minfang said. Old Fu lives in a villa on the Sanya Peninsula that Zhang Chen and the others bought for him. Old Fu's wife passed away 3 years ago. He has a son abroad and a daughter in Changsha. Cao Minfang specially arranged for a nanny to help him at home. Do housework. In the past few years, Fatty Fu still drove his own car to and from get off work every day. Since last year, Cao Minfang has not allowed him to drive by himself because of concerns about safety, and has arranged for a driver to pick him up. Cao Minfang said, Mr. Zhang, the old man is ready. He was fine when he left the hotel yesterday. This morning I found that he was wearing the chef's work clothes and hat. In the past, he didn't always change after arriving at the hotel. He changed it specially, and by the way, there is a recording on his mobile phone. Mr. Zhang, I will play it for you. Zhang Chen was confused and didn't know what to say. Cao Minfang shouted, Mr. Zhang, Mr. Zhang. Zhang Chen said okay, let go. Fatty Fu's voice came over the phone, it's too heavy. It has to be moved downstairs. It's really annoying. I'd better stay here. There was only the sentence in the recording. Zhang Chen seemed to have seen what Fatty Fu saw. He was lying there and saw the endless darkness covering the top of his head. Fatty Fu closed his eyes. He wanted to appreciate this darkness. What does it taste like? After hanging up the phone, Zhang Chen sat there blankly. Someone knocked on the door and Zhang Chen said come in. The door opened and it was Hui Huan. Hui Huan walked in and closed the door with her backhand. She leaned on the back of the door and looked at Zhang Chen. Her eyes were red, and Zhang Chen's eyes were also red. Hui Huan's body slid down against the door panel, and she ended up squatting there, sobbing. Thank you to Gukaiwu WZF for the reward of 2 fishes. Thank you to the Evergreen Yan Dadi, Yuengzi, Mingzin, Zonda RR, Shi Yitan, Nevin Moore, Dora Eamon, Chuanlin, Looking at the Plum Blossoms, Lugo Lugo Watchin' One Flower One World, Book Friends 20181130105305305944, Book Friends 2018090622320493 Monthly Pass. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 2053. Zhang Chen and Xiao Fang, along with Zhang Xiangbei and Zhang Xiangzi, as well as Hui Huan, Xiaoli, Du Tao, and Gu Gong, went to Sanya to attend Fatty Fu's farewell ceremony. Lu Ligan and Tan Shahen also wanted to go with them. Tan Shahen said, I go to Sanya again and again to celebrate the new year. I don't know how many times I have eaten with Master Fu. When he leaves, I must go and send him off. Zhang Chen said yes. Sanya Funeral Home is located in Tiandu Town, right on the edge of Yalongbei Scenic Area, separated by Yalongbei Road. Fatty Fu's son, daughter-in-law, and their children and grandchildren, a total of 7 people, returned from Spain. They had opened a restaurant there for more than 30 years, and they have all been naturalized and become Spanish. The daughter and son-in-law also came from Changsha with their daughter and grandson. After the whole family discussed it, they told Cao Minfang that since his father liked Sanya, it was better for him to stay in Sanya and not return to his hometown. In fact, Fatty Fu's wife passed away 3 years ago. Fatty Fu personally chose the cemetery at the Xianyaiwan Cemetery in Sanya. This cemetery is connected to the Sanya funeral home, and his tomb is already there. His children told Cao Minfang, "It means that parents can rest here without having to move their graves, and the fallen leaves may not necessarily return to their roots." When the farewell ceremony was held, many guests came, including colleagues from their hotel and the World Tropical Botanical Garden, as well as fellow members of the Liu Yanghuagu drama troupe who happened to be performing here. There are also some regular guests of their hotel. With Fatty Fu leaving, they know that some of the taste can only be remembered. It is no longer possible for Fatty Fu to stand on the wok in person and cook a few dishes for them and let them cook. In front of friends, you can proudly say that this is the spoon that Fu Yaozong personally holds. Among the people who came, there were also some fans of Fatty Fu. They saw the obituary notices in newspapers and on the internet, and rushed over to give Fatty Fu a ride. There was also a long line of family members, including not only the children and grandchildren who came from abroad and Changsha, but also more than a dozen of Fatty Fu's apprentices. As family members, they stood there to thank the guests and friends who came to express their condolences. Huihuan and Xiaoli also saw their senior brothers for the first time. The youngest of them was already 67 years old. After Fatty Fu left Changsha, he never accepted any more apprentices. When he came to Huihuan, he made an exception. To Xiaoli and Du Tao, it was broken again and again. When the three of them saw their senior brothers, they realized how rare it was to be their master's disciples. These senior brothers of theirs had never been mentioned by their master before, but now that they met together, they were all chefs in the country. A person who is famous in the world. The farewell ceremony was hosted by Cao Minfang. Lao Xie, as Fatty Fu's best brother and friend, first delivered a eulogy. Zhang Chen also delivered a eulogy on behalf of their Ben Muxian group and his family. When everyone started to circle around to pay homage to Fatty Fu's body, farewell, Fatty Fu lay among the flowers with a peaceful expression. Cao Minfang's eyes were red and she whispered to Zhang Chen that this was how I saw him when I passed by that morning. Fatty Fu did not wear a shroud, but still wore his chef's uniform and the top hat of a special first-class chef in his early years. Fatty Fu's son said that his father liked the profession of chef so much that when he was dying, he put it on himself, "I just hope that I will say goodbye to this world as a chef, so let him go like this." Everyone looked at Fatty Fu lying there in chef uniform and chef hat with a calm expression, as if he was tired from working in the kitchen and lay down to rest for a while. He would open his eyes and wake up at any time and get up to continue. When working, tell them I can't win or it's annoying. Huihuan didn't seem to believe that her master was really gone. She held Fatty Fu's hand and screamed at him, trying to wake him up, but he continued to sleep because his hands were cold. Gu Gong looked at Fatty Fu and burst into tears. No one present had seen that a man could cry so sadly, and everyone couldn't help but burst into tears. While cleaning up Fatty Fu's belongings, his children found a cardboard box, which was sealed with tape. There was a note on the cardboard box that read, "Please give it to Mr. Zhang Chen." Zhang Chen opened the cardboard box and saw that there were notebooks inside, with recipes written on them. Zhang Chen understood that Fatty Fu did not leave these to his son, who was also a chef. To hand it over to any of his apprentices, but to him, is to show that these recipes were summed up by him at work and should belong to the company. Zhang Chen and Huihuan said, "This is Master Fu's lifelong effort. You should sort it out properly." Huihuan choked and nodded. Among the relics was a sealed brown paper bag with the words, "Please give it to Gu Gong." Gu Gong opened the brown paper bag. Inside was the book he wrote that night, and a cookbook of eating and drinking for men and women. When he opened it, he found that next to each dish's name and picture, he wrote down his suggestions for improving the dish. The handwriting is crooked. There were only 2 days between when Gu Gong handed his book to Fatty Fu and when Fatty Fu passed away. It seems that during the 2 days when Fatty Fu returned to Sanya, he was revising the recipe book of eating men and women. Make it perfect. When Gu Gong saw this recipe book, he burst into tears again. With tears in his eyes, he shook the recipe book in his hand and shouted to Zhang Chen and the others. "This is Lao Fu's swan song, this is his swan song." Everyone listened and sighed. His children did not want to keep the villa left by Fatty Fu. Zhang Chen and Cao Minfang said that you can increase the market price by 20% and let our company buy it back and help them handle this matter as soon as possible so that they can go with peace of mind, and tell them at the same time that if they want to come back to see their parents anytime, our hotel will accommodate them free of charge. Cao Minfang said yes. Zhang Chen and his party returned to Hangzhou. Gu Gong made a copy of the recipe book and gave it to Xiaoli and Du Tao, asking them to modify the dishes on the recipe based on what Fatty Fu had written. He needed the original copy. As a souvenir, even Zhang Xiangbei had never read the book he wrote to Fatty Fu, so Gu Gong burned it and said it was for old Fu. The training camp of food and drink men and women ended, and everyone went to various places to take up their posts and began the 1-month preparation work. For Xiaoli and Du Tao, there was a big gain from this trip to Sanya, that is, their scattered brothers from all over the country have agreed to serve as consultants for their food men and women branches in various places. Moreover, they declined the reward proposed by Xiaoli, out of obligation. They said, "This is the last thing Master is doing, and we must work together to do it well. Otherwise, how can we have the honor to see Master in the future?" May has arrived in a blink of an eye, and everyone has good things going on. Zhang Xiangbei and his fresh home delivery have been launched in Chongqing, Chengdu, and Wuhan branches, and are in preparation for Changsha, Hefei, Kunming, and Xiamen branches. Also go online. Now, their single-day sales have already exceeded 1 billion yuan, and their number of employees has reached nearly 30,000. On the first day that Zhang Chen and his food men and women went online on May 1st, the chefs in every city were booked out, and there were still customers who wanted to place orders, but they could no longer send anyone out. Shanghai and in the 3 cities of Hangzhou and Ningbo, reservation orders have been queued from May 1st to May 20th. This is of course due to the success of their Tuxianjiayuan hotel in these 3 places. The gourmets know that food and drinking man and Tuxianjiayuan are from the same family, so they first have a sense of closeness, and then they hear about food and drinking man and woman. There is also an original recipe book. The dishes on the recipe are different from those in all hotels, which whets everyone's appetite. Especially this cookbook. When the media reported the news of Fu Yaozong's death, they all mentioned this cookbook, and they also unanimously used Gu Gong's word, swan song. They all said that this was the swan song of the legendary chef Fu Yaozong and a treasure in the catering industry, and this treasure now remains in catering men and women. Zhang Chen didn't know who leaked the news at first. When photos of the recipe book left by Fatty Fu began to appear on the internet, Zhang Chen realized that it was passed on by Gu Gong. He was helping food and drink men and women. Sure enough, eating man and woman became famous even before it was launched online. After it was launched online, it received rave reviews. Those who were lucky enough to try it all showed off their delicious taste online. Zhang Chen reminded Xiaoli that at this time, she should not be impetuous. Don't just recruit chefs just because there are not enough chefs and send them out after a simple training. You must complete the entire training process and pass the assessment before being allowed to work. The same goes for service. Just because business is good, service cannot be sloppy. Catering, whether online or offline, with or without a store, is all on-site management. In other words, problems may arise at any time, so you must be cautious. Xiaoli said, "I know, Mr. Zhang, now eating and drinking men and women have been linked to the reputation of the master. If I mess up, I will feel sorry for the master." Zhang Chen said, "Okay, as long as you understand this. Lu Ligan's Renjia Tourism, in addition to the B/U0026BS in Beijing, Shanghai, Hangzhou, and Sanya that are still popular, the 6 projects they rushed out were also fully booked during May Day, and it was difficult to find a room. According to customer feedback, it can be seen from the situation that everyone recognizes their model and hopes that they can expand the Renjia Travel B/U0026BS across the country, which will be convenient. In just a few months, their membership has reached more than 9,000, and some of them were introduced by friends. Each member needs to pay a membership fee of 50,000, which will be deducted from future purchases. Some of them became their members, but they were not able to get a room yet. They complained to Xiaomi, and Xiaomi complained to Lu Ligan. Lu Ligan said, "Okay, we can start to spread the country," and Zhang Mushan, I also asked him to continue to work hard. Thank you for the reward for reading every day. Thank you Feng Konghu 1974, Book Friends 201081818213517919, Zipanjiang 1, Luoluaoyashanai Weishi, Book Friends 201612310039542999 for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Xiniang. Chapter 2054. On July 10, 2016, the Shanghai Power Station of Art will hold Impressions of Paris, Camille Pissarro Painting Exhibition. This is a Sino-French joint exhibition, including 42 works from Paris. The Louvre and Pompidou Cultural and Art Center, 7 works of Pissarro, come from Zhang Chen's Riverside Oil Painting Gallery. April to June 2016 is the spring of cultural exchanges between China and France. Although this exhibition is already in July, it is still one of the activities of the spring of cultural exchanges between China and France. The reason why the exhibition is it was not placed in June, but in July, because July 10th is a special day. July 10th is the birthday of Pissarro. Pissarro was born on July 10, 1830, on the island of St. Thomas in the Antilles. He died in Paris in 1903. It is said that one of the conditions why France is willing to allow such a large number of Pissarro's original paintings to leave France and go to the East is that the 7 original Pissarro paintings from the Riverside Oil Painting Gallery can also appear in this exhibition. Combined with these Pissarro works from Paris, Pissarro was a master of French Impressionism and the only painter who participated in all 8 exhibitions of Impressionism. It can be said that it was because of Pissarro that Impressionism was finally truly established. He was also a figure who connected the past and the future in modern art. 2 of the 3 masters of post-Impressionism, Van Gogh, Gauguin and Cézanne, Gauguin told reporters more than once before Pissarro was alive and wrote in an article, "Pissarro is my teacher." 3 years after Pissarro's death, Cézanne, the father of modern painting, respectfully signed Paul Cézanne, student of Pissarro, in the catalogue of his exhibited works. In order to promote this exhibition, the leaders of Shanghai Power Station of Art made a special trip to Hangzhou to discuss with Zhang Chen and Zhao Xian. The predecessor of the Shanghai Museum of Contemporary Art is the Shanghai Art Museum on Nanjing West Road. The Shanghai Art Museum on Nanjing West Road can be said to be the art temple in Zhang Chen's heart. When he was still an artist at the Yongchengwu Opera Troupe, at that time, there is no direct train from Yongcheng to Shanghai. Zhang Chen needs to take a long-distance bus for a day from Yongcheng to Hangcheng, and from Hangcheng to Shanghai. Zhang Chen had been to the Shanghai Art Museum at that time and had seen the Rodin sculpture exhibition and the French Barbizon school painting exhibition. It can be said that this was the first time Zhang Chen saw the original works of world-class masters. Zhang Chen still clearly remembers the first time he saw Corot's oil painting. Standing there, his whole body was trembling. The shock was unforgettable. In 2012, the Shanghai Art Museum on Nanjing West Road moved to the Urban Future Museum in the World Expo Park on the bank of the Huangpu River, and was renamed the Shanghai Contemporary Art Museum. The original site here was the Nanshi Power Plant, and Zhang Chen and his Riverside Oil Painting Gallery is located in the former Genshin Power Plant in Hangcheng. It can be said that they have similar approaches but similar results. Today, the original power generation workshop of the Shanghai Museum of Contemporary Art, with its highest cantilevered 45-meter-high factory building and 165-meter-high power plant chimney, is both a city landmark in Shanghai and a special exhibition space. When Zhang Chen arrived here for the first time, he lamented that it was a pity that the large chimney of Genshin Power Plant had been demolished due to safety reasons for surrounding buildings. The Power Station of Art in Shanghai is the venue for the Shanghai Biennale and other major art exhibitions, and is also a cooperative venue for their Riverside Oil Painting Gallery. Whether it was the original Shanghai Art Museum on Nanjing West Road or now, Zhang Chen didn't know. I have visited here many times and I am very familiar with several leaders of the museum. They asked the Riverside Oil Painting Gallery to support it, and Zhang Chen certainly agreed. After the exhibition ends in Shanghai, it will go back to Paris and be held at the Pompidou Culture and Art Center on November 13, the day Pissarro died. This is also one of the conditions for the center to hold the same exhibition, and the 7 original Pissarro paintings from the Riverside Oil Painting Gallery will also go to Paris. At noon on the 9th, Zhang Chen and Zhao Xian drove to Shanghai. They went directly to the Museum of Contemporary Art. They first went to see the arrangement of the exhibition, and then went to the Kempinski Hotel Lugias Y to stay. In the evening, they were going to attend the Shanghai Museum of Contemporary Art. A dinner jointly organized with the Cultural Office of the French Consulate General in Shanghai. It was already around 2 o'clock in the afternoon when Zhang Chen entered the room. He had just fallen down on the bed and was about to take a rest when his cell phone rang. It was Xyli. As soon as the phone call came through, Xyli said anxiously, "Mr. Zhang, something happened." "What's the matter?" Zhang Chen asked. Xyli's voice stammered because she was nervous, and she said, "Today, Mr. Zhang, at noon today, there was a customer. After eating the Chinese food we provided, everyone who attended had diarrhea. Now they have been sent to the provincial Tongde hospital. It is initially suspected to be food poisoning." Zhang Chen's heart skipped a beat and he asked anxiously, "How are you doing now?" "They are all still being checked in the hospital. The specific situation is not clear yet. I sent someone to wait at the hospital. Mr. Zhang, people from the CDC have arrived at our place and are blocking the entire processing workshop. All our orders at night, they all asked us to cancel temporarily. When can we start again? We have to wait for the inspection. No, we have to wait for the results of the investigation to come out." Xyli stammered, and Zhang Chen felt that his scalp was going to explode. Food poisoning is what all catering companies fear most. Food and Drink has been online for more than 2 months, and the response has been very good. They have successively opened more than a dozen cities, and now the number of branches has reached 46. More cities will be opened in the future. The location of the processing workshop has been confirmed, and personnel recruitment and training have begun. The entire Eating Men and Women project has been going very smoothly, so smoothly that even Zhang Chen himself felt that it was too smooth. He didn't expect that his second entrepreneurial venture would be so simple compared to the first one, and it would produce results immediately. Therefore, Zhang Chen was still a little doubtful and felt a little uneasy in his heart. Zhang Chen is like this. When something goes too smoothly, he will feel that he does not deserve it. He will feel that something bad is slowly growing in a place that he does not know about, and eventually something will happen. What is the problem? Thinking about it carefully, it turned out that the fashion show was a great success. Then something happened to Xiao Zhao, and Zhang Chen subconsciously became suspicious of everything around him. Then, All their stores were very successful, but not long after, one by one had to disappear, including the factory in Xiaosha. Such a behemoth must also disappear. This made Zhang Chen always feel that good things will never happen. If it goes on for too long, you won't deserve or even deserve any good things. In fact, it was not from that time, or even earlier, that the Chinatown project was stillborn, and the Wanghaler project was obviously over. That project could be said to have made him an instant success, and the future looked bright, but then Zhang Chen sighed, and Xiaoli continued on the other end of the phone. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention told us that if there is a problem with our ingredients this time, according to regulations, they must notify the Health Supervision and CDC in all cities where we have branches to conduct a major inspection on us. That would be the end of it, Zhang Chen thought to himself. If there was such a business closure inspection due to food poisoning, other competitors would not have to squeeze them out. This alone would be enough to make them lose customers and give them a fatal blow to the food and beverage man. One strike. After the great success of Diet Men and Women, similar companies have appeared in some places. However, in terms of scale and customer reputation, they have not yet been able to have an impact on Diet Men and Women. But if there is a problem with the ingredients, they have defeated themselves. Also, Mr. Zhang. Xiaoli murmured. What else? Zhang Chen asked. Our ingredients are all imported from Xixianshui, and quarantine personnel have also gone to Xixianshui to take samples, because no customers from Xixianshui have been poisoned, and the scope involved is too wide, and did not let them stop. The quarantine personnel believed that there was a high probability that there was a problem with our processing links, so Bai and the others escaped. If they stopped. When Xiaoli said this, she did not continue, and there was no need for her to continue. Zhang Chen also understood that if that happened, it would affect not one of their companies, but both of them. Zhang Chen shook his head and patted his forehead with his hand, trying his best to calm himself down. He asked Xiaoli. How many orders did we receive in total at noon today in Hangzhou? Xiaoli said, today is Saturday, so there are many orders at noon, and I have received 132 orders. Do other customers have similar situations? Zhang Chen asked. Not yet. Zhang Chen breathed a sigh of relief. He thought that if they received 132 orders at noon, they would have only one source of ingredients, which was Xixian delivery, and their processing workshop also operated according to a unified operating procedure. With the same ingredients and processes as the original ones, it's impossible for this company's problem to only occur. Zhang Chen felt that the possibility of a problem in their processing was not very high. When they first designed the entire process, they had a premonition of this possibility and took precautions. Therefore, all ingredients were sealed and signed when leaving their processing workshop, and there was a possibility of problems in the transportation process. Sex is not big either. If there is really a problem, Zhang Chen feels that there is only one possibility, and that is that there is a problem with the seasonings. Only the cooking seasonings brought to the scene are different for each house. And if there is a problem with the seasoning, it is not their problem, but the seasoning manufacturer's problem. They will not be the only ones to have product quality problems with the same batch of products, and they will not be affected, but others. It's just that they haven't been discovered, or if they have been discovered, they haven't been contacted yet. Zhang Chen and Xiaoli said, you cooperate with the CDC's inspection, and by the way, let Zhang Xiangbei and the others also cooperate and try to investigate this matter clearly as soon as possible. Whether it is our fault or not, the shorter the process, the better. Strive to control the impact to the minimum range. Of course, if it is our fault, we must accept whatever punishment we deserve. Okay, Mr. Zhang, I understand. Hui Huan is here. She is very familiar with the people at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. She is accompanying them to watch and retrieve the surveillance video of our processing workshop, especially the entire process of this order. Xiao Li said, and Zhang Chen nodded. Unexpectedly, their monitoring system could not only reassure customers, but could also be used for evidence collection in the event of an accident. Even if they died, they could die clearly. Mr. Zhang, I have to go down. I still have to fill out forms and sign. They are looking for me. If there is any new situation, I will call you again, Xiao Li said. Zhang Chen said, okay, go ahead and remember to actively cooperate. After hanging up the phone, Zhang Chen could no longer fall asleep. He stood up and walked to the window, looking outside. In Shanghai in July, the sky was blue, but Zhang Chen's heart was uncertain. Thank you Win Sanliu for the reward of 2 fishes. Thank you Win Sanliu, Wang Qingxi, UN11, Fish Eater, Ekin, and Sman for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Xiniang. Chapter 2055. More than 20 minutes later, Zhang Chen's phone rang again, but this time it was WeChat. Xiao Li asked for a video call. Zhang Chen turned around and walked over, sat down on the sofa, and clicked to answer. Hui appeared on the screen of the phone. The 2 faces of Wan and Xiao Li. How's it going? Zhang Chen asked. People from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention have finished taking samples and left. Our refrigerators and processing workshops were sealed. Another group of them went to the customer's home to take samples. By the way, the customer seemed to have called the police. The police station people are also there, Hui Huan said. I have already said hello to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and they will speed up the progress and give us a conclusion as soon as possible. Zhang Chen agreed, the matter has come to this, and we can only wait for their results. Mr. Zhang, there is another troublesome thing now, Xiao Li said. What's the matter? Zhang Chen asked. So many orders have been cancelled. Tomorrow's orders here in Hangzhou have also been temporarily stopped. However, we always have to give customers an explanation. Some customers called and sounded very bad, saying that we had cancelled their plans. It's all messed up, Xiao Li said. Yes, many people are having a treat at home today, and they are all important guests, or it is an important family reunion. Today is Saturday, everyone must have made arrangements, and many invitation calls have been made. Suddenly, he said, order cancellation, isn't this a joke? It is natural for the guests to be angry. Zhang Chen thought for a while and asked Hui Huan, how many private rooms are there at Tuxianjiayuan in the evening? Don't book any private rooms from now on, just leave them to these guests. If there are not enough private rooms, the lobby can also do it. Tell all the cancelled orders if our customers are willing to move the banquet to the Tuxianjiayuan Hotel, we will give them a 50% discount on tonight's meal. Hui Huan said yes, and I would inform her right away, but Mr. Zhang, I still need to give an explanation here. It can't be so unclear. Zhang Chen nodded. Indeed, I must give everyone an explanation. Zhang Chen said. Let's just tell everyone the actual situation. If we hide it, everyone will have different opinions. I think they will be passive. No, Hui Huan said, our explanation must be published on the website of Food and Drink, including the method of transferring orders and giving a 50% discount. We must also publish it together with this explanation, so as to win the trust of customers. However, the customers who visit our website are not just customers from Hangzhou. They are found all over the country. Even if it is suspected, everyone will see the word food poisoning. When customers from other cities see it, they will definitely. There was no need for Hui Huan to say any more, Zhang Chen also understood. In that case, the impact of this incident would definitely spread across the country immediately. It was a small matter that customers would cancel their orders one after another. The signboard of food and drink for men and women had only been erected for more than 2 months. I am afraid that I will fall because of this. They couldn't bear this consequence. Although Zhang Chen wanted to confess, after Hui Huan reminded him, he understood that confessing at this time was really not a good idea. Honesty requires paying a price, and many times, the price you need to buy is probably a bill you shouldn't pay, or a bigger bill. Zhang Chen also felt that he was at a loss. If he couldn't describe the facts, what reason would he have to tell the guests why they wanted to cancel their orders? It would be easier if it was the Tuxianjiayuan Hotel. The switch would be pulled and everyone would be informed that the line was faulty. Everyone knows that the kitchen cannot cook anything without electricity. Even if there was a way to cook it, no guests would be willing to do it in such hot weather. Went to eat in a hotel without air conditioning. But eating men and women do not have these problems at all. Can you say there is an equipment failure? Xyli asked. What's wrong with us? It's not just the gas stove and microwave oven, but it's someone else's. You can't say that even the chef can't cut vegetables. Zhang Chen said that. Xyli sighed, she was about to cry, and muttered, why is it so unlucky that something like this happens? Hui Huan comforted her and said, it doesn't matter. That's how running a hotel is. All kinds of accidents will happen. By the way, can we be more ambiguous? What do you say? Zhang Chen asked. I just said that I found that there are some quality problems with the ingredients purchased today. It is almost 3 o'clock now and it is too late to repurchase. In order not to delay everyone's meal, I suggest that you cancel the order or move to the Tuxianjiayuan Hotel. We will compensate you. Hui Huan said. Zhang Chen thought for a moment, and although this statement was still a bit far-fetched, there was nothing he could do about it. This was already the best way to explain it. Okay, let's just say that, Xyli, guests who agree to move to Tuxianjiayuan Hotel will receive a 50% discount on their meals. If they cancel the order directly, we will compensate them with 10% of the order amount. This part of the loss will be it's up to us food and drink men and women to take on the responsibility. Zhang Chen told Xyli, and Xyli hurriedly agreed. She was about to leave when she was stopped by Hui Huan, who said, also, the people below should tell you that before the conclusion is drawn, you must not tell anything about today's events, which will cause people to panic, especially don't talk nonsense on the internet. You are not allowed to speak even in internal WeChat groups and QQ groups. Be careful of being screenshot. Zhang Chen said that he was right. He felt that Hui Huan's reminder was right. Xyli nodded and walked over to write an explanation. Hui Huan and Zhang Chen said. When the people from the CDC left, I had already discussed it with them. They would not express any opinions to the outside world until the conclusion was made. Zhang Chen said yes. Also, Brother Zhang, I want to go to the hospital immediately on behalf of the company, Hui Huan said. What's wrong? Zhang Chen asked. I checked and found out that this customer is an old customer of our original Tuxianjiayuan. I know him. I want to appease them first and prevent them from making trouble. At the same time, I also want to remind him strategically that if things don't go well, before the investigation is clear, if any reporters hear the news and interview them, I hope they will not speak out. If you make a random statement and the investigation concludes that it has nothing to do with our company, we will also pursue the losses caused to us. Zhang Chen nodded and said, speak nicely. Hui Huan smiled and said, I know, I don't even know this. People are already very angry, how dare I provoke them? However, this matter is indeed very strange. If it is a problem with the ingredients, we made so many orders at noon, how could it be that only one of them has a problem? I have told the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention before, and they agreed and said that they would ask colleagues who go to the guests' homes to take samples in a wider range. Zhang Chen told Hui Huan his previous thoughts and asked her whether there might be something wrong with the seasonings our chefs brought there. Each family uses different ones. Hui Huan thought for a moment and said it was impossible, Our seasonings are all delivered in boxes. The seasonings in the same box must be from the same batch. If there is a problem with the seasonings, it will not be from the same company. It is impossible to say that it is the same. There's something wrong with the bottle I brought. Zhang Chen was right when he thought about it, it should be impossible. Okay, brother Zhang, I will go to the hospital first, and then go to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention to keep an eye on it. If there is still time, I will go to the police station to have a look. They are also conducting investigations at the same time, Hui Huan said. Zhang Chen said yes, thank you for your hard work. Whatever hard work is, isn't it all about your company, Hui Huan said and hung up the phone. After a while, Xili sent the written description to Zhang Chen. Zhang Chen saw that there was no problem and asked Xili to post it on the Diet Men and Women website. He said to Xili, when canceling an order, you must call each customer and explain patiently to them, no matter how angry they are. Xili said okay, I understand, I will go and watch by myself. At around 6 o'clock in the evening, Zhang Chen and Zhao Xian had arrived at the buffet party of the French Consulate General in Shanghai. Zhang Chen's cell phone rang. It was Hui Huan. Zhang Chen hurried to the corner to answer the call. Hui Huan said to him, it was pretty good. Except for 2 tables of guests who agreed to cancel their orders in the evening, everyone else came to Tuxianjiayuan, and I have already made arrangements here. Where are the family members? Zhang Chen asked. They were very understanding and said that we certainly didn't want this to happen, and they agreed to wait for the results of the investigation to come out, Hui Huan said. Zhang Chen breathed a sigh of relief, and a stone in his heart finally fell to the ground. But this breath is only a temporary relief. It can only be said that the urgent problem at hand has been solved. This matter has not been completely solved. Everything will have to wait for the conclusion of the investigation by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention or the police station to be settled. Still, Zhang Chen felt like he was a lamb waiting to be slaughtered, with a bright knife hanging above his head. On the way back to the hotel, Zhao Xian asked, Boss, what's wrong with you today? You look absent-minded. Zhang Chen smiled bitterly and said to her, there is some trouble in the company. Zhang Chen didn't say what the specific trouble was, and Zhao Xian couldn't ask any more questions. The two of them arrived at the hotel in silence. After entering the room, Zhang Chen called Xili and asked her how she was doing. Xili sighed and said to him, Mr. Zhang, we have done everything we need to do. Now there is nothing we can do but wait. I can't even answer when people below ask me if I want to go to work tomorrow. What a coward! Yes, everything that needs to be done has been done. Even if it is a lamb to be slaughtered, you must continue to wait. Zhang Chen once again felt that sense of powerlessness. Things are developing in a terrible direction, but you are helpless. This night, Zhang Chen was restless, tossing and turning without falling asleep. He watched the sky outside the window light up little by little. If it hadn't been for 9 o'clock in the morning, he would have attended the Impression of Paris, Camille Pissarro painting exhibition. During the ceremony, Zhang Chen had to stand on the podium and watch 2 Frenchmen and 2 Chinese cutting the ribbon for the exhibition. Otherwise, Zhang Chen would have returned to Hangzhou long ago. This is a major matter related to cultural exchanges between China and France, and it is the current overall situation. In the face of the overall situation, his eating and drinking of men and women, even if it is urgent, is a trivial matter. Zhang Chen smiled bitterly and shook his head. Zhang Chen got up and went to the bathroom to wash up and put on his clothes. He looked at the time and saw that it was already 7:10. After not sleeping all night, Zhang Chen's head felt as heavy as lead. He picked up the phone on the bedside table and called Zhao Xian. Tell her, you go down to have breakfast alone, I'll come back and call me at 8:10. Zhao Xian said yes and asked, do you want to bring it to you? No, thank you. Zhang Chen hung up the phone as he said it, wondering where he still had appetite. He fell on the bed fully clothed. Thank you for your monthly passes to Snacks, Lemonstone Spring Hodgepodge, and Windy Wing. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Xiniang. Chapter 2056. At 9 o'clock in the morning, the opening ceremony of Impression of Paris, Camille Pissarro painting exhibition started on time. The deputy mayor of Shanghai and the French ambassador to China, who came from Beijing specially, each gave speeches for 5 minutes. Then, they accompanied by the deputy director of the Louvre Museum in Paris and the director of the Shanghai Power Station of Art, the two jointly cut the ribbon for the exhibition. Zhang Chen's task today was to stand on the stage with several other people for more than 10 minutes, smiling and applauding, and then the ceremony was over. Zhang Chen walked to the audience and told Zhao Xian, "I have to rush back to Hangzhou first, and I will leave this place to you." Zhao Xian said yes. She looked at Zhang Chen's bloodshot eyes and asked worriedly, "Boss, can you drive? If not, go to sleep in the car. When I'm here, I'll drive." Zhang Chen smiled and said, it's okay, it's such a small distance and we'll be there just by stepping on the accelerator." Next, Zhao Xian will accompany the guests to visit the 7 Pissarro works in their Riverside Oil Painting Gallery. She will give a special introduction to these 7 works. After all, it is a joint exhibition. In terms of quantity, there is a big gap between China and France. But fortunately, the works provided by France are familiar to everyone. They can be seen in various albums of Pissarro, and the works of Riverside Oil Painting Gallery. These 7 paintings are rare for overseas audiences. The French are looking forward to being invited to participate in the exhibition in France. There will be an exclusive interview with Le Figaro later. Next, Zhao Xian has to sign the relevant procedures and insurance contracts with the Louvre Museum and the insurance company for the 7 paintings to be exhibited in Paris. I don't know how long this busy process will last. How can Zhang Chen wait? Eating and drinking men and women are still roasting on the fire and frying in oil. These 7 paintings left the Riverside Oil Painting Gallery, went to Shanghai, and then to Paris. It took almost half a year to return to the Riverside Oil Painting Gallery. However, the location where the Riverside Oil Painting Gallery originally exhibited these 7 paintings all year round was not. It will be empty, but there will be 7 copies of the works hanging there. There will be a note on the side, indicating that these are copies and the original works have been exhibited in Shanghai and Paris. Among the 7 copied works, 5 were copied by Xiaoshu, and the other 2 were copied by Zhang Chen. People who have seen the 2 copied by Zhang Chen said that they are difficult to distinguish from Pissarro's original works. Xiaoshu said to Zhang Chen, "I'm ashamed." Zhang Chen smiled and said, "There's nothing to be ashamed of. I just saw more of Pissarro than you, and I'm very familiar with his brushwork and use of colors." Zhang Chen was still very proud of being so humble, but he also knew that copying was nothing. Copying just showed that your craftsmanship is not bad, and creation is creativity. There is an essential difference. Zhao Xian looked at Zhang Chen and wanted to say something else. Zhang Chen continued to say, it's okay, just take care of this place." To show that he was fine, Zhang Chen subconsciously raised his right hand and flicked it down twice. "Then send me a WeChat message as soon as you arrive in Hangzhou," Zhao Xian said, and Zhang Chen nodded. Zhang Chen drove away from the Shanghai Museum of Contemporary Art. There were many cars on the Shanghai-Hangzhou Expressway at this point, so Zhang Chen turned to the Hangzhou-Puzhu Expressway. "I didn't sleep much all night. When I set off, I was still awake and thought nothing was wrong. But when I got on the highway, I felt that I was numb and my brain seemed to have stopped." Zhang Chen wanted to go into the service area and sleep for a while. When he reached the entrance of the service area, he felt that even if he stopped and had something on his mind, he would not be able to fall asleep. It was just suffering, so he might as well work hard and drive directly to Hangzhou. Even if you go to the Jabeo food and drink men and women conference table and wait for news, it is worse than staying on the road. I was delayed on the road, and if I received a call from Huihuan or Xiaoli, I would be beyond my reach if something urgent happened. With this thought in mind, Zhang Chen stepped on the accelerator and the car accelerated again without entering the service area. The wheels were speeding, and his eyelids kept drooping. Zhang Chen turned on the stereo, and Jay Chu's songs were playing. Zhang Chen howled loudly, which made his brain hurt, but his sleepiness was slightly reduced. The accelerator on the sole of his foot was on. When the speed slowed down, his upper eyelids drooped. Zhang Chen increased the speed to 120, 130, and finally reached 140. After the speed increased, he seemed to wake up. The camera on the roadside flashed, and Zhang Chen's heart moved. He knew that the 6 points were gone. He slowed down, but his eyelids drooped. Even if he was still yelling, it was of no use. He simply increased his speed again. Go up. The second, third, and fourth, the cameras flashed one after another. Zhang Chen was thinking in his heart. He knew that Zhao Jingjing was going to complain, and she was going to yell to find Su Qiaxin, Ji Ling, Xiaoli, and the others to get the driver's license. Then he asked an acquaintance to deduct points for him. Zhang Chen could imagine that Zhao Jingjing would tell him after finishing the matter that our points had been deducted and there would be no next time. Zhang Chen grinned. Well, there is no next time. Anyway, we have already arrived at the Hangzhou Ring Expressway. Zhang Chen only drove for a little more than an hour for these 156 kilometers. When he arrived at the Hangzhou toll station, he looked at his watch. It's only 10:30. When Zhang Chen passed the toll station, he kept reminding himself to get off the Xiaoshu ramp. From here, he could go directly to Jabeo. But when he drove the car onto the ramp, he suddenly realized that he was still going the wrong way. Take the fork in the road and take the ramp to the city. So dizzy. Zhang Chen shook his head. It was impossible to turn around. He had no choice but to turn around under the bridge of the old Bus East station. There was a red light at the intersection under the bridge, and there was a long queue of cars. Zhang Chen got in the queue, stopped the car, and kept hitting his face with his hands to keep himself awake for the last time. The red light turned green. When Zhang Chen was almost driving to the intersection, he realized that the left turn lane and the U-turn lane were separate lanes. He was lined up in the left turn lane. Zhang Chen cursed Mom, and then suddenly, he discovered that there was a traffic policeman standing at the intersection. Zhang Chen had no choice but to turn left onto Xintang Road. Just as he turned around, Zhang Chen's cell phone rang. He looked at it and it was Xiaoli. There was no way to park on Xintang Road. Zhang Chen drove ahead and turned right into Yanjia Lane. Then he pulled over and picked up his cell phone. As soon as the call came through, Xiaoli was crying on the phone. Zhang Chen quickly said, "What's wrong, Xiaoli? Calm down, the sky won't fall." "What's wrong, Xiaoli?" Zhang Chen comforted Xiaoli, but his own heart was already cold. He knew something was wrong, but he still said, "Don't worry, Xiaoli, it's not a big deal, just talk it over." Xiaoli said with a tearful voice, "Boss, it's okay. We're okay. This incident has nothing to do with us." "What did you say?" Zhang Chen asked anxiously, his heart trembling. "The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has concluded that it has nothing to do with us. Those people were not suffering from food poisoning, but a water problem," Xiaoli said. "It has nothing to do with our food." Zhang Chen really wanted to shout, but he still controlled his emotions and said to Xiaoli, "Xiaoli, please tell me clearly what is going on." "Okay, boss, it's a problem with their water dispenser. The water dispenser hasn't been cleaned for a long time and there are a lot of bacteria in it. Isn't the weather very hot now? Everyone drinks cold water. In fact, Someone in their house already had diarrhea the day before yesterday. But I didn't mention it. Yesterday, everyone had diarrhea, even the invited guests had diarrhea, so I thought there was something wrong with lunch. As a result, all our finished and semi-finished products were inspected, and there were no problems. Finally, the cause was found in the water flowing out of their drinking fountains. Now, people from the CDC have broken the seal below us. Zhang Chen leaned back, closed his eyes, and let out a long breath. Boss, can we start taking orders again today? Xyli asked. Zhang Chen smiled and said, of course you can, you idiot, but keep an eye on me. Throw away all the semi-finished products that were sealed yesterday. If they are not broken, they are not allowed to be used. Otherwise, if there is another problem, it will be our problem. You know, I've asked them to clean it up, Xyli said with a smile. After hanging up the phone, Zhang Chen patted his face with his hand and yelled, startling a woman who happened to be walking by outside the car. The parasol in her hand almost fell to the ground. She turned around to look. Zhang Chen scolded him for being crazy, and Zhang Chen laughed. He saw a breakfast shop nearby, which seemed to be closed. The folding tables and plastic stools that were originally placed at the door were put away and leaned against the wall. A flatbread stove facing the street had been turned off. Zhang Chen looked at the breakfast shop and suddenly felt very hungry. He had never been hungry before. Then he remembered that he had not eaten breakfast today, and he had not eaten flatbread or fried dough sticks for a long time. Zhang Chen, now, I really want to eat flatbread and fried dough sticks. Zhang Chen got out of the car and walked towards the breakfast shop. When he walked to the door, he saw a piece of flatbread on the stove where the flatbread was being baked. There were also 3 fried dough sticks and 5 or 6 sesame balls in a wire basket with fried dough sticks on the side. Left out for too long, the dough sticks and sesame balls became soft. There was a woman in her 50s or 60s in the shop, cleaning the chopping boards for making flatbreads and fried dough sticks. Zhang Chen said to her back, buy big cakes and fried dough sticks. The woman turned to look at him and said, no more. In her eyes, the remaining pancakes and fried dough sticks are no longer pancakes and fried dough sticks. When a beggar walks past the door, she will give them to him. Zhang Chen pointed to the flatbread and fried dough sticks on the stove and said, isn't this one? The woman was a little surprised and asked, do you want this too? If you want it, give it to me, Zhang Chen said, feeling that it was not enough, so he added, and these sesame balls, give them to me too. The woman was a little embarrassed. She wiped her hands on her apron, looked at Zhang Chen, and then looked at the remaining things. She felt a little sorry and said, either I turn on the oil pan and fry the fried dough sticks and sesame balls for you. No need to bother, Zhang Chen said. Quickly, very quickly, it'll be ready in a moment, the woman said, click, and turned on the gas stove with the oil pan sitting on it. The oil in the oil pan had cooled down and was heating up. Zhang Chen saw a bamboo reclining chair behind him, which was probably used by the boss to rest. He sat down on the reclining chair, then lay down and watched the ceiling fan above his head. After spinning around in circles, Zhang Chen fell asleep after a while. Zhang Chen woke up from the heat and was covered in sweat. He sat up and looked at his watch. He had been asleep for more than 40 minutes and it was already noon. The road at the door was white with sunlight. The woman was probably afraid that Zhang Chen would catch a cold. He turned on the ceiling fan above his head to the smallest setting, with the blades spinning slowly. Zhang Chen turned around and looked around. There was no one in the store. Then he looked at the wire basket. The fried dough sticks and sesame balls had been fried. He looked more energetic than before. Even the oil pan on the gas stove had been removed. Zhang Chen took out $10, put it on the chopping board, pressed it with a knife, pulled off the vest bag hanging on the edge of the chopping board, and picked up the big cakes, fried dough sticks and sesame balls into the vest bag. Just as he was about to go out, The woman came back from the side and smiled when she saw Zhang Chen. "I sleep so well that I can't even wake you up." Zhang Chen smiled and said, "Yeah, if it wasn't too hot, I could sleep until night. I put the money there." The woman looked in the direction Zhang Chen pointed and said, "I want to ask you for money." Zhang Chen said there was no need to look for him. The woman said no, she must find the money. She had already walked to the chopping board, took out a few coins from an iron jar on the chopping board and gave them to Zhang Chen. Zhang Chen could only take them in his hand. Zhang Chen walked back to his car and saw a city management ticket stuck on the front windshield of the car. "Mom," Zhang Chen cursed, and then muttered, post it. Zhang Chen got into the car, put his vest bag on the passenger seat, turned on the engine, and put the seat back without putting it in gear. He was stunned for a moment, wondering if he should eat a fried dough stick first, but the result was, without thinking about it, the person fell down and fell asleep. "Thank you, Tin Soldier, for flipping through books every day, catching 2 fishes, and giving rewards at 3 o'clock in the middle of the night. Thank you for your monthly votes from my coward, Flat Tire Mars Rover, Zion J, Zeros Thinking, Husansi, Good 110123, Kingbo, and Dragon King 123,777. Thanks for all the votes and reading. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei-Shi Niang. Chapter 2057. Zhang Chen fell asleep in the car and was awakened by the sound of someone knocking on the glass. He opened his eyes and saw an urban management officer standing outside with a motorcycle parked behind him. He was knocking on his car window glass. Zhang Chen pressed down the car window and asked, "What are you doing?" Go quickly, you can't park here," the city management said. Zhang Chen pointed to the front windshield and asked, "You have already posted one, do you want to post it again?" The urban management officer said, "If you don't leave, I'll post it. Look at that photo. It's from 2 hours ago." "You're really good," Zhang Chen said with a smile. "In such a hot weather, it's still noon break time, you don't take a rest, and you have to run under the bright Sunday. Who knows the fine? Everyone is working hard, why? This month's task was not completed." The city manager rolled his eyes at him and said impatiently, "Just leave as soon as I tell you. Why are you so long-winded?" "I'll leave after breakfast," Zhang Chen said. "I can't even press the accelerator anymore." Zhang Chen was really hungry. He took the fried dough sticks from the passenger seat and ate them. The fried dough sticks were fried twice and then blown by the cold air conditioner in the car. They were so hard that he couldn't even bite them. Zhang Chen was stunned. Biting the fried dough stick, he pulled out the other end with his hands and finally bit off a piece. The urban management officer also laughed and asked, "You drive such a nice car and eat so carelessly." Zhang Chen said, "The car belongs to the boss and I am the driver. You have fined me all my money. If I don't eat this, what else can I eat?" "Your boss doesn't care about his job," the city manager asked. "No matter, our boss is stingy." Zhang Chen opened the trunk and said to the urban management, "Brother, I'm too lazy to get out of the car. Please help me get a bottle of water from the back, and get a bottle for yourself." Sure enough, the urban management officer went to get 2 bottles of water from the trunk, handed one to Zhang Chen, and waved the other bottle towards Zhang Chen. "Thank you." Zhang Chen waved his hand. The urban management officer and Zhang Chen said, "Let's leave after we finish eating. The boss in front of us saw this and asked me to come over. Otherwise, I wouldn't be too lazy to come over." Zhang Chen said, "Yes, thank you." The urban management officer got on his motorcycle, waved to Zhang Chen, and left. Zhang Chen saw that his back was soaked just after standing outside the car for a while. Zhang Chen looked at his watch and saw that it was almost 1 o'clock. Then he looked at his mobile phone. There were more than a dozen missed calls, but none of them woke him up. These calls were from Zhao Xian, Xiaofang, Huihuan, and Xiaoli. It was a call. Only then did Zhang Chen remember that he had promised Zhao Xian that he would send her a WeChat message when he arrived in Hangzhou, but he had long forgotten about it. He sat there, eating sesame balls, and answering the phone. By the time he finished the call, he had already eaten 3 sesame balls, and felt that there was something in his stomach. He unscrewed the cap of the water bottle, drank a few sips of water, then started the car and drove to the end of Yanjia Lane in front and turn left, going around Jingfang. When Zhang Chen arrived at Eating and Drinking Men and Women, the processing workshop below was already extremely busy and returned to normal. The training in the training room was also carried out as usual. Du Tao saw Zhang Chen coming and raised the horse spoon in his hand from a distance. He gestured towards him as a greeting. Zhang Chen went upstairs and walked to Xiaoli's office. Xiaoli was sitting there alone. Zhang Chen asked, "Where's Huihuan?" "Nothing happened, of course she went back to Tuxianjiayuan," Xiaoli said. Zhang Chen sat down opposite Xiaoli and asked, "Is everything normal?" "It's normal," Xiaoli said. "By the way, boss, I'm thinking, should we ask this customer to compensate? He caused us this. Last night plus today's noon, there were at least 400 tables. Just yesterday he gave us 400 tables after the discount. The amount we have to pay to Tuxianjiayuan is more than 290,000 yuan. Zhang Chen glared at Xiaoli and cursed. "What are you thinking? How can you ask for this money from a customer? It was he who ordered the CDC to stop all orders. For caterers, if they encounter this kind of thing, they are unlucky and can only eat Coptis chinensis in silence. For example, there are the child ran around in the restaurant. He obviously hit our waiter and his head was smashed by a plate. We not only have to pay for medical expenses, but also other expenses. Even if someone accidentally falls and hurts himself in our restaurant, we will still have to pay compensation. Do you think the service industry is so easy to do? Isn't that too unfair?" Xiao Li shouted. "I used to manage a specialty store. If a customer bought a customer's clothes and wanted to change them after they were broken, I wouldn't change them for her even if I fought with her." "Why?" Zhang Chen didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He said, "Yes, you are great, then let me ask you, if you ask this customer to compensate, but he refuses to compensate, what will you do next?" Xiaoli thought for a while and said, "Then we can file a lawsuit with him." Zhang Chen nodded, "Yes, after you win the lawsuit, all the guests will have fled. Who dares to eat in a hotel that catches the guests and refuses to let them go? Not to mention that the whole family, even the guests he invited, will have diarrhea. Being sent to the hospital is unlucky enough, but you still hold on to me. Do you have any sympathy? It would be strange for a store like this not to be criticized by 1,000 people. Whether it is online or offline, remember, there is no such thing as a shopkeeper who bullies customers. Your body must be soft. Catering is the industry that cares about face the most, which means that people will always look at you. It's glamorous, do you know why?" Xiaoli thought for a while and shook her head. "I don't know, boss, why do you think so?" "Because the reputation of a store is spread by word of mouth. In the same way, word of mouth can also spread your bad reputation. If a store's brand goes down and its reputation becomes bad, your dishes will no longer be good. No matter how cheap and delicious it is, no one will dare to eat there." Zhang Chen said, "Think about yourself, would you go to a hotel with a bad reputation to eat?" Xiaoli nodded thoughtfully. Zhang Chen continued, "Look at Huihuan, why is she like a two-faced person? Internally, everyone in the hotel is afraid of her. She is very strict, but externally, towards the guests, even if the guests point at her, even if you scold her, she will still smile. Is she well-intentioned? But those who work in hotels really have to be so attentive. You must learn this from her, do you understand? I understand, boss. Xylee nodded. Also, Xylee, you have been our salesperson since Xiao Zhao and I opened a store in Sijiking. Counting it all, you are the oldest employee of our company. Over the years, whether you go to Shanghai or Beijing, your performance is very good, and I hope you can get better and better. Now that you are here to be the boss, I will be very strict with you. I hope you don't mind, okay? Zhang Chen said. Xylee raised her head, looked at Zhang Chen and asked, Boss, do you want to criticize me? Yes, I want to criticize you, is that okay? Zhang Chen said, of course, when I criticize you, I will only do it like this, just the two of us. I will definitely not say it when someone is around. To be honest, Xylee, for such a long time, I feel like you are like one of my own family members. Boss, if you have anything to say, just say it. I know you criticize me for my own good, Xylee said quickly. This time, Xylee, do you know where I am dissatisfied with you? Zhang Chen asked. Xylee thought for a moment and said, I didn't take care of things down there. No, this incident was an accident. Neither you nor the subordinates were at fault. Facts have proved that we did not do anything wrong. You are not responsible for this, but we have learned a lesson. I tossed and turned and couldn't sleep last night. I kept thinking all night long that even a storeless hotel like ours is different from Tuxianjiayuan. Tuxianjiayuan is within our management scope, and everything we do can be done. Controlling. But eating and drinking are different. We are going to the guest's home. The guest's home is something we have no control over. Just like this time, who knew there was something wrong with their drinking water machine? It is impossible for us to say, go to the guest's home before returning home. We need to do a major checkup on him, so the problems we will encounter in the future may be more and more complicated. When Zhang Chen was talking, Xylee kept nodding. Zhang Chen looked at her and said, this also puts forward higher requirements for us, especially you, that is, you must react quickly and have strong adaptability. Xylee, this is what I want to criticize you for. In this matter, you were not wrong at all. No, the mistake is that after the incident came out, you were a little panicked. If Huihuan was not here, tell me, would you be at a loss? Xylee nodded. Of course, it's a bit unfair for me to say this. After all, Huihuan has been in this business for so many years. Of course, she has rich experience and has wider connections than you. You have only taken over for half a year, and you still lack experience. What I hope for you is to tighten your strings, including calling me this morning. Why are you crying? You must know that you are the boss, and the boss is most taboo about crying. If you let the people below see you crying, you will be finished. Your persona is overturned by them. When you are the boss, you must remember that you are the boss. In this company, you will be the eldest son and you will be the eldest son. When something happens, the people below will look at you and wait for you to give them instructions. I asked you to solve the problem, but you cried first. You made a mess here first, but it didn't turn into a mess down there. When you are the eldest, you have to gnash your teeth and swallow it. If you really want to cry and can't hold it in, you have to close the door alone and cry secretly. After you finish crying, wipe your tears, wash your face, and take the lead when you go out. Everyone, let me give you a sentence. This is what someone told me. It says that you need to be domineering when doing big things, and you need to be gangster when doing small things. You are somewhere between the two now. Externally, you are the boss of this company. In the future, this company will be a company with tens of thousands of people. Of course you are doing big things, so you must be domineering. Without domineering, you will not be able to control people. You can't control your colleagues, they will knock you down, and you have to be gangster internally, such as when dealing with internal affairs of the company. Okay, the word gangsterism is too unpleasant. Let's just say it's quackery. Why do you have quackery? Think about it. You will have thousands of chefs under you in the future. You also know that chefs generally have low levels of education. It's useless to talk to them about truth, it's useless to talk empty words, just want. Like Hui Huan, she is ruthless and capable of taking action at critical moments, right, boss? Xiao Li asked. Zhang Chen was right, this is gangster spirit, or Jianghu spirit. As Zhang Chen said this, he remembered that Hui Huan was really cruel. When she was forced to open a store in Sanbeo, she was so cruel that she was ready to take the gas tank and die with others. For such a ruthless person, how could she not do well when she does things seriously? This is the hard side, Zhang Chen said. The charlatanism not only has a hard side, but also someone like Su Qiaxin, who can be playful and smiley at all times. Even if you have to be ruthless, you can still be shameless, right, boss? Xiao Li looked at Zhang Chen and asked, and Zhang Chen also looked at her, and both of them laughed. Thank you for the tip that ranks third from top to bottom. Thank you Shi Yitan for your monthly ticket. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 2058. Xiao Fang is sitting in the office, staring at the computer screen. Today's financial affairs of Diet Men and Women, the daily financial report, daily business report and cash flow statement have just been sent. Xiao Fang is also the financial director of Diet Men and Women. One piece is independent from the one that Zhao Jingjing was responsible for the original Banmuishan Group's finances. At the end of each month, because Banmuishan Group is the major shareholder of Catering Men and Women Catering Co., Limited, with more than 30% of the shares, the reports here will be merged into the group company, but the actual financial management and planning will not be done. Xiao Fang is doing it. Xiao Fang heard the sound of Zhao Zheng talking to someone in the corridor outside. She stood up and walked towards the door. Before she reached the door, she saw her senior walking in from the door, wearing a red dress, t-shirt, carrying a black backpack, standing at the door, turning around and clasping his hands towards Zhao Zheng behind him, saying thank you, thank you. Zhao Zheng did not follow. The senior turned around and said to Xiao Fang, "Hello, Xiao Fang." Xiao Fang smiled and said, "Hello, senior." The senior took the high-speed train from Shanghai this time and came here specifically to Xiao Fang. He called Xiao Fang in advance and told her the train number. Xiao Fang asked Zhao Zheng to pick him up at Hangcheng East Railway Station. "Will I not see Zhang Xiangbei again this time?" the senior asked as he sat down on the sofa. Xiao Fang smiled and said, "Don't tell me it's you, I haven't seen him recently. Just like you, he is carrying a backpack and goes to some rural area." Xiao Fang's words were not to show off to her seniors, it was indeed the case. As the scale of home fresh delivery became larger and larger, the related business became stable. Now, Wu Huan is in charge of Zaixian delivery, and Zhang Xiangbei is in charge of outside. His main focus is to establish more supply bases directly under their own across the country, and to deal with the original bases, farmers, and places. Some contradictions in the government. After there are more bases, more aspects and people are involved, and conflicts of one kind or another are inevitable. Many times, it's not that the branch bosses and office directors can't handle these problems well, but that the farmers and local township leaders are a little too resigned to the truth. They always feel that Zhang Xiangbei is the one who deliver fresh food to his family. Sir, the same words spoken by him are different from those spoken by the branch manager and office director. Zhang Xiangbei was very busy because of this, carrying a backpack and flying around alone. In such hot weather, every time he came back, he seemed to get darker. Zhang Xiangzi now calls him, except after Bai Bei, also called him black. Xiang Nan laughed at him and said, he is indeed black. Next time you join our group, you can play a black man on stage without makeup. Nowadays, Zhang Xiangbei does not need to drive around in off-road vehicles with Xiao Wu. They have their own branches and offices in major provinces across the country. People from branches and offices will come to the airport or high-speed rail station, then Zhang Xiangbei. Xiao Fang is right. Yale boys like Zhang Xiangbei and seniors like to run around alone. This is probably true. Yale has always focused on training students to participate in various social activities. Every holiday developed with financial support. It's still different. I'm the trapeze artist and the high-speed rail weirdo, and he's the Wizard of Ounce. The senior pushed up the glasses on the bridge of his nose and sighed, it's also a hard life. They say a good man doesn't earn 6 months. We are like this in hot weather, I have to run outside every day. Hypocritical Xiao Fang said, you all have the conditions to go wherever you want. You didn't ask for it? By the way, you spend more time surfing in Big Wave Bay and Lantau Island in Hong Kong every year than a farmer spends working in the fields, right? The senior laughed. The senior did not come here for fresh food delivery this time, so Zhang Xiangbei just asked casually. He was just a little curious. This junior is doing well now, but in the past year, I haven't had the chance to meet him yet. How busy is he? By the way, where is Mr. Lu? The senior asked. He was asking about Lu Yun. Xiao Fang said, Xiao Zhao should call her. Just as she was talking, Lu Yun walked in from the door. The senior stood up quickly, moved 2 steps to shake hands with her. The two had met before, and although they didn't have much friendship, at this time, they looked like old friends after a long separation. Seemingly reunited, smiling warmly and affectionately. The 3 of them sat down on the sofa again, and without talking nonsense, the senior asked. When are you going to start the round of diet men and women? Xiao Fang knew that the senior came to see her this time and even said on the phone that he wanted to see Lu Yun. She knew in her heart that he was here for eat and drink man and woman, but Xiao Fang still smiled and asked. How did you know eat_U0026 drink needed financing? The senior smiled and said, Zhang Chen, Xiao Fang is your husband, right? I have heard my friends talk about him more than once. He is not even willing to go public. With such a good logistics space project and cash cow, he refused to come up with it. Why did he set up the shares of food and drinking man and woman like this? Couldn't he afford such a small amount of money to invest? Of course not. As soon as I saw the share structure of food and drink, I knew what you were doing. Moreover, this must be your Xiao Fang's idea, right? Xiao Fang smiled and said, then you should go find him. He is the major shareholder. Mr. Lu and I are both minority shareholders. I just said, this is all your idea. Of course he will listen to you. What's the use of me looking for him? There is no need to look for him, and you don't need to go around. In fact, you are showing affection. As the senior said, Lu Yun burst into laughter. Xiao Fang's face turned slightly red and she scolded, you. The senior laughed, turned around and asked Lu Yun, Mr. Lu, am I right? Lu Yun smiled and said, that's absolutely right. It has been 6 months since the company was established. It has been almost 3 months since food and drink was officially launched. I have been paying attention to it for these 3 months. It is almost the same. The speed and time of the company's development are almost the same. It's time to start that's why I show up uninvited again, the senior said. When the company's scale has not developed to a certain level, or the profit model is not yet clear, the original investors in the angel round are generally reluctant to launch the project, because at this time, the project's valuation will not be very high, and it is not cost-effective for them. Like diet men and women now, the scale and cash flow have been established, and the company has its own core products and competitiveness. It's time to start to attract more money from the market, so that the company that it was originally running can start to fly. It's time. The senior said it was true that he came uninvited. This time, it was indeed him who took the initiative to call Xiaofang. However, he came uninvited. In addition to eating men and women, he also had another unspoken purpose, that is, the fresh food delivery was always in his sight, and it was as huge as the fresh food delivery. Compared with Ba's project, eating men and women is just a small project, but small projects have the advantages of small projects, that is, the roadmap can be seen and everything is easy to control. The most important thing is that Zai Xianshui is now not a delicious pastry, but a huge fragrant cream cake. Everyone can see it and everyone wants to take a bite. From Zai Xianshui now a river flows every day. Judging from the general positive cash flow, it requires almost no financing and there is no urgency to start Series A. But no matter how big the company is, the senior believes that there will always be a day when it needs to go public and raise financing. Especially for a company that uses the internet as a platform, it is not afraid of getting bigger, but is afraid of not being big enough. The characteristic of internet companies is that they are big fish. Eat the small fish and the shrimp will fend for itself. Here, only the winner can take it all. If he can get one foot into the diet man and woman, he will have an advantage and can occupy a favorable position. The relationship between Zaixian delivery and diet man and woman is too close. As long as he becomes a shareholder of diet man and woman, yes, all the changes in Zaixian Shui are under his nose. When it needs Series A, he will definitely be the first to get there. This is the reason why Zhang Xiangbei only asked casually when the senior came here this time, but the real target was Xiaofang. The three people then frankly analyzed the development direction and business risks of diet men and women, trying to use objective and calm language. Diet men and women was like a dissected sparrow. The three of them surrounded it, holding hands. Holding a scalpel and using a microscope, he was dismembering it and clearly sorting out its internal organs and every capillary blood vessel. Xiaofang also told the senior a lot about the latest data on eating and drinking men and women. These data were like the blood flowing through them. The three of them analyzed the meaning of these data. Originally, investors like Senior, Xiaofang and Lu Yun would put most of their energy, or focus, on the management team and communication with the management team before investing in a project, but because Zhang Chen and the senior thinks Xiaofang's special relationship is unnecessary. Although the senior has never met Zhang Chen, he is no stranger to him. The team under the senior has even studied him. Zhang Chen is the chairman of Catering Men and Women. With his ability and qualifications, he manages and operates. There is no need to worry about his ability, plus he has Xiaofang and Lu Yun beside him. They are both professionals, and the issues that the seniors will be concerned about are also of concern to them. Therefore, the senior felt that the best point to enter the eating and drinking for men and women was that in Xiaofang. As long as Xiaofang and Lu Yun had reached an agreement, everything else would not be a problem. Zhang Chen could not spend all his energy on eating men and women, he will eventually find a suitable time to quit eating men and women. The three people communicated for more than 2 hours. The focus was on the operation and future development of food and drink. On the contrary, no one mentioned how to value the company, how senior students can enter, how to allocate shares, etc., and there seemed to be no need for it. Say more. The senior stood up and said goodbye, saying that he had to take the high-speed train back to Shanghai. Before leaving, the senior and Xiaofang Lu Yun said, "You come up with a valuation, and I will come up with a valuation after I go back. Don't bother the third party. We will confirm it on WeChat then and then continue to move forward." Xiaofang and Lu Yun agreed. The day after the senior left, a valuation was reported. Food and drink had increased 12.5 times, and the reported valuation was RMB 1.25 billion. After discussing with Lu Yun, Xiaofang felt that this valuation was appropriate. Xiaofang and Lu Yun said, "You do Xiaohua's work, and I'll do that person's." Lu Yun asked seriously, "Who is it?" Ouch, Xiaofang raised her nose and Lu Yun giggled. "Thank you for the reward for the 2 fish, 1 above and the third from top to bottom. Thank you for your monthly votes from Dora Eman, White Horse Xiaolong, Ziran Wei, Yuengzi, Lao Shenzi Sang, and Book Friends 202001282343333879. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health." The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Xiniang. Chapter 2059. I'll beat Xiaohua now. As she spoke, Lu Yun picked up her cell phone, called Xiaohua and told him that diet men and women could now start the round, and they were already interested in investors. Lu Yun then told Xiaohua the name of the senior and his views on diet men and women valuation. Lu Yun said, "Xiaofang and I both believe that this valuation is appropriate and can be continued. Xiaohua, what do you think?" Xiaohua smiled on the other end of the phone. "When Xiaofang called me that day and asked me to invest, I told her that we are an investment trio, and of course we act in concert. You two agreed, of course I no objection, just make your arrangements." Lu Yun said yes, and she said, "We will do the specific work, determine the investment amount and share allocation, and then I will call you." Xiaohua said yes. Done. Putting down the phone, Lu Yun looked at Xiaofang and said to her, "As soon as Zhang Chen agrees, will there be any problems with him?" "No problem. This path has been decided from the beginning. I will go back and tell him tonight." Xiaofang said, but she felt empty in her heart. Indeed, the senior was right. The composition of the shares of food and drink, including the road map of the entire company, was planned by Xiaofang from the beginning, and it is currently moving towards this. The direction is moving, there is no deviation. The reason why Xiaofang feels weak is not that there is any problem with eating men and women per se, but Zhang Chen. She feels that Zhang Chen seems to have changed in some aspects, especially his attitude towards eating men and women, but the specific changes were unclear, and Xiaofang herself didn't know. After hesitating for a while, Xiaofang told Lu Yun her idea. Lu Yun listened and sighed softly. She didn't say it out loud, but she felt that Xiaofang still didn't understand Zhang Chen very well, maybe because of the age difference. They are a bit older, and their experiences are also very different. They have different perspectives and views on many things. This is why she asked Zhang Chen if he had any problems. Zhang Chen is a perfectionist who strives for perfection in everything he does. Eating and drinking men and women is not as good as Fanhua Network back then. Zhang Chen didn't pay much attention to Fanhua Network from the beginning. He always made suggestions from the side with the attitude of a bystander and did not really enter the state. He should be asked to quit due to the needs of development. When Fanhua was on the internet, he didn't think twice and left without saying a word. Diet men and women is different. Zhang Chen was planning to build diet men and women from the beginning. He took this project as he did when he first started his business and devoted himself wholeheartedly to it. Diet men and women is like a child has been growing up under his care. On the contrary, whether it is Lu Yun, Xiaofang, or Xiaohua, they have been watching from the side without interfering at all. Food and drink has always followed Zhang Chen's ideas and developed at Zhang Chen's pace. It is better to say that it is a joint stock enterprise than it is Zhang Chen's one-man enterprise. He almost does not even need to discuss with them what to do. They didn't even think of discussing it and just did it. They also believed in his judgment and intuition, and even more in his ability, so they didn't mind or interfere. Now it is said that new investors will be introduced. Once new investors come in, they will definitely have new ideas and requirements. In many cases, Zhang Chen even has to put down his body and listen to the suggestions and opinions of other investors. Lu Yun knows that Zhang Chen is easier to talk to and more generous than anyone else when he is with someone he gets along with, but he is too lazy to serve someone he doesn't get along with. He is the kind of guy who will flip the table and walk away on the spot. It is difficult for him to give in to new investors. Only when other people try to change him will they find out that this guy is actually smelly and tough and cannot be messed with at all. No. Lu Yun sighed secretly, and she said to Xiao Fang, then wait until you mention it to him tonight. Okay, Xiao Fang said. Lu Yun smiled and chased, and said, I'm sure Zhang Chen will ask your senior how much money he plans to invest. In the second sentence, he will definitely say that he doesn't need to invest, I have the money myself. Xiao Fang thought about it carefully and realized that this was really possible. Xiao Fang grimaced and nodded towards Lu Yun. Lu Yun moved over, held Xiao Fang's hand, looked at her, and said slowly. Xiao Fang, there is something I shouldn't say, but I must tell you. If you don't say it, it will be stuck in your throat. Say, Sister Lu Yun. Xiao Fang saw Lu Yun's serious expression and sat up straight unconsciously. In the final analysis, eating men and women is just a project, just a business. If we don't have such a project or do less of such a business, it will have little impact on us. It's not a big deal. I want to tell you, you being with Zhang Chen and doing well is more important than the project. Don't let the small lose the big because a project will affect your relationship. The reason why Lu Yun said this is that although Xiao Fang is Xiao Zhao's biological sister, she and Xiao Zhao are still different. For Xiao Zhao, Zhang Chen is everything to her, and she can listen to Zhang Chen wholeheartedly. Chen, even if he had any opinions, would hide them and obey Zhang Chen, but Xiao Fang was not. From a certain point of view, Xiao Fang was also a very tough person. She has her own opinions and will not blindly obey. Although her high emotional intelligence allows her to often know how to handle things, but if two very tough people are together, if there is any conflict, the comet hit the earth and it was out of control. As a friend, Lu Yun felt that she must remind Xiao Fang. When Lu Yun said this, Xiao Fang's heart moved. She looked at Lu Yun and said, I understand, Sister Lu Yun, thank you. Lu Yun smiled slightly and said to Xiao Fang, can I say a few more words? Xiao Fang nodded. I have known Zhang Chen for a long time, and I still know a little bit about him. Xiao Fang, I don't mean that you don't know him, but sometimes, some things are often clear to the beholder. Lu Yun said, Zhang Chen, this man is a good person, but his temper can sometimes be a bit stubborn. Lu Yun laughed and continued. Especially this guy. Sometimes he doesn't want to say anything when he has something on his mind. He will just keep it in his heart and let it smolder. What needs to be especially noted with such a guy is that once you have a problem with him, it doesn't mean that he will hold grudges, but this kind of guy can't tolerate sand in his eyes, and naturally he can't get rid of the knot in his heart. It will take a long time to resolve the knot in his heart. Xiao Fang sighed and said, it's really like this. So Lu Yun said, sometimes you have to give in to him and don't fight with him. Do you understand? I know, Sister Lu Yun. Xiao Fang said, I can only turn the spring breeze into rain, moistening things silently. Yes, Lu Yun kept nodding her head, and both of them laughed. At night, Zhao Zheng felt it was strange. She went into Xiao Fang's office twice. Xiao Fang was obviously fine and sitting in a daze, but when he saw her, he didn't say anything at all. He didn't say that he wanted to go back. The second time, Zhao Zheng couldn't bear it anymore and asked Xiao Fang if she was ready to leave. Xiao Fang also told her, it's not a hurry, I still have something to do. Zhao Zheng walked to the door and looked back. Xiao Fang was still sitting there in a daze. Isn't something wrong? Is it just a matter of sitting in a daze? It was so strange. Zhao Zheng walked outside the door and couldn't help but shook his head. In the past, Xiaofang was very efficient in doing things and moved quickly. After dinner every day, she would read various reports for the dozens of projects they invested in. Every evening when the finance department got off work, Xiaofang would send reports. Fang will read every report carefully. If she sees any problems or questions on the report, she will immediately pick up the phone and call the legal person of the company directly. Nothing seemed to escape her eyes. After reading all the reports, Xiaofang will write some of her thoughts into emails and send them to the company's legal persons, and she will also reply to new emails in the mailbox. Next, Xiaofang will video chat with Lu Qing for 10 minutes. Whether Lu Qing is in the Shanghai company or somewhere in the world, video chatting every day to talk about the day's work is what they must do. After 9 o'clock, it's time to start work in the United States. Xiaofang will call and communicate with investors or friends there. If today is someone's birthday or a memorable day, Xiaofang will never forget it. She would call directly to check in instead of writing an email. At 9:30 in the evening, the day's work was almost over. Xiaofang didn't want to stay in the office for a moment, so she hurriedly called Zhao Zheng and said, "Let's go home." She wanted to go back and hug Zhang Xiangzi and play with her for a while before she fell asleep. Today, when Zhao Zheng went in at 9:30, Xiaofang sat there blankly, looked at her and said nothing. When it was almost 10 o'clock, Xiaofang still sat there blankly. Zhao Zheng asked, she said she would wait a moment, she had something else to do. Zhao Zheng felt that Xiaofang's behavior today was too abnormal. What Zhao Zheng doesn't know is that Xiaofang has indeed finished all her work today, but she is not in a hurry to go back. She is waiting, thinking about things while waiting. She is waiting for a call, Zhang Chen's call. I went back late on purpose, waiting for Zhang Chen's call to ask. "Zhang Chen, you haven't come back yet." Xiaofang snickered and said, come on, we'll be busy soon." After putting down the phone, Xiaofang dialed the landline on Zhao Zheng's desk and said to her, "Let's go home." By the time Zhao Zheng came out of the office, Xiaofang had already walked to the door of her office. Zhao Zheng looked at Xiaofang and became even more confused. Xiaofang, who had been looking serious just before, was now smiling, and it was the kind of smile that he couldn't hide. He kept laughing all the way. Zhao Zheng was very curious. What is this so worth laughing at? How could she know Xiaofang? Xiaofang deliberately came home so late, deliberately asking Zhang Chen to wait at home, and deliberately asking Zhang Chen to call to urge her. Every time Xiaofang came home late, Zhang Chen would be sitting on the sofa waiting for her. Used to live in splendid home, and when he heard her saying goodbye to Zhao Zheng downstairs, he would go to the door and open it. Now living in a terraced house by the Meisi River, Xiaofang's mother would sit in the living room and watch TV every night until Xiaofang came back. When she heard Xiaofang talking to her mother downstairs, Zhang Chen would go to the stairs and wait for her. Every time Xiaofang came back late, Zhang Chen would wait for her, and he would be very fawning when he saw her. Xiaofang just needed him to be fawning today. It would be best if he didn't even take a shower, but waited for her to take a shower together. After taking a shower, the two of them hugged each other and sat down on the sofa. Xiaofang was about to tell him about the preparation of the around by eat and drink man and woman. Thank you Zipanjiang 1, Feng Polang 26, Book Friends 1101152336518898, Book Friends 201809062232049344 for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Xiniang. Chapter 2060. Xiaofang entered the house, said hello to her mother who was sitting in the living room on the first floor watching TV, and then went upstairs. Almost at the same time as she went upstairs, her mother also stood up and muttered, "Sleep, sleep, there's nothing interesting to watch on this TV." Xiaofang secretly felt funny. Her mother was like this every time. She was obviously waiting for Xiaofang to come home, but she seemed embarrassed to say it out loud and pretended to be watching TV. As soon as she saw Xiaofang coming back, she would immediately find an excuse. Going back to the room, Xiaofang actually knew that her mother was already very sleepy. She might have fallen asleep on the sofa and only woke up when she heard her door open. When they didn't live together, Xiaofang didn't know that her mother cared about her so much. After living together, Xiaofang clearly felt it. People of their parents' generation are always shy about expressing their feelings directly, and at the same time, they are like spiders who like to huddle in corners for fear of disturbing you and affecting your work. Your work is really insignificant to them. It was hard to understand. They looked at Xiaofang as not looking like Zhang Chen. She didn't run a factory or a restaurant, so how could she still make a lot of money? In fact, they were worried about whether the money was legitimate. After thinking about it carefully, they felt that it was not the case. Xiaofang was not someone who would do such illegal things, and it was not worth it. Zhang Chen would not allow it. They then thought, is it too easy to make money this way, and will something happen? The money comes too quickly and easily. In the past, they relied on speculation, and if they were caught, they would be imprisoned and paraded on the streets. Now, it is still speculation, and they themselves are it's been great, and I feel that only by sweating, and earning money like that can I feel at ease. I was worried, but I was too embarrassed to ask, and I didn't even dare to make any more calls. I just waited here every day, waiting for Xiaofang to come back, and then I felt relieved and could go to sleep peacefully. While Xiaofang's mother was sitting outside waiting for Xiaofang, Xiaofang's father was in the room. He was actually listening with his ears pricked up. He was relieved when he heard the sound of Xiaofang and her mother talking from outside. In the eyes of parents, Xiaoshu doesn't need to worry. Xiaoshu is a boy. Shouldn't boys go out and make a living? What's more, Xiaoshu now has his own home, but his daughter is different. When she was in her hometown, Xiaofang was at home. When she arrived in Hangzhou, although this was Xiao's home, they lived together and ate together. It feels like Xiaofang still hasn't left home. After Xiaozhao passed away, they were even more worried about Xiaofang. Then Xiaofang went to the United States, but in their hearts, they felt that going to the United States was still different from going to other places. If they went to other places, Xiaofang might not come back. But when they go to the United States, they stubbornly believe that Xiaofang will definitely come back. The United States is not her country. What else can she do if she doesn't come back? Moreover, there has always been Xiaofang's room here in Hangzhou. It was there when Xiaozhao was here. Even though Xiaozhao is gone, Xiaofang's room is still there. Parents feel from the bottom of their hearts that Xiaozhao has never left home. Or at home, with them. When Zhang Xiangbei also went to the United States, they felt even more that Xiaofang's purpose in staying in the United States was to take care of Zhang Xiangbei. If Xiaozhao was gone, and if Xiaofang didn't take care of Baibei, who else would take care of him? So when they knew that Xiaofang was going to return to China, they were not surprised at all. They looked at Xiaofang and Zhang Chen and saw that the two of them were very good together. They felt the same as Zhang Chen's parents in their hearts. They felt that there was nothing better than the two of them. There is nothing better than getting married and being together. This is to solidify everything and the feeling of a family. They no longer need to worry about Xiaofang leaving home, getting married, and having children, whether her husband is good to her, Zhang Chen finding another woman to marry, or whether the stepmother is good to Baibei. Now there is no need to worry about anything. When Zhang Xiangzi was born, they felt that everything was perfect and stable, and the family could be together like this from now on. The only thing that worries them now is Xiaofang's safety. They are too unfamiliar with what Xiaofang does, and they can't understand where her money comes from. They can see what Zhang Chen does and how much money she makes. Xiaofang and the others did not understand. Especially after Zhao Zheng arrived, Xiaofang's mother became even more worried. Zhao Zheng said he was an assistant, but in fact Xiaofang's mother knew that she was the bodyguard arranged by Xiao Wu. Zhang Chen's business was so big that he didn't have many assistants or bodyguards. What was Xiaofang doing? She was worried that someone would harm her. Still need bodyguards? Xiaofang's mother didn't dare to ask, but when she asked, Xiaofang told her that she didn't understand either, but she still worried about it every day. Zhang Chen stood at the top of the stairs and watched Xiaofang coming up from below with a smile. Zhang Chen asked, "Why are you laughing?" Xiaofang shook her head and walked closer before whispering to him, "It's Mom. She's waiting for me down there every day, but she's too embarrassed to tell her." Zhang Chen also laughed. He patted his chest and said, "There is another one. There is another one waiting for you upstairs. You are double insured." As Zhang Chen spoke, he stretched out his hand and took Xiaofang's bag from her hand. Xiaofang smiled and said, "Thank you, dear." He came closer and kissed Zhang Chen. Zhang Chen was wearing pajamas and pajamas. It looked like he had already taken a shower. Xiaofang said, "I'm going to take a shower." Zhang Chen said yes. Xiaofang said coquettishly, "I'm tired, please help me wash." Zhang Chen raised the bag in his hand and said, "Okay, you go first, I'll put it away and come back." The two people came out of the bathroom and walked to the sofa in the study room to sit down. Xiaofang rubbed her hair with a bath towel while walking. After sitting down, Zhang Chen had already picked up the hairdryer in his hand and blew Xiaofang's hair. Fang lazily leaned on Zhang Chen's body. Xiaofang likes Zhang Chen to blow dry her hair very much. Zhang Chen is very patient and careful when drying her hair. First, the autumn wind blows through her hair, blowing away the wet water, and then uses a small strand of hair to dry her hair. He picked it up with his fingers and blew it carefully, as if Xiaofang's hair was his work, and what he was holding was a brush, painting stroke by stroke. Xiaofang could feel his attentiveness every time, and felt sweet in her heart. They could play for half an hour at a time. Neither of them spoke, and Xiaofang would not urge him to interrupt. Every time after playing, when Xiaofang took a deep breath and agreed with her, she always felt as if she had just been hypnotized and then woke up. Then, Xiaofang's head would go into Zhang Chen's arms, and Zhang Chen would hold her, and sometimes she would fall asleep like this. Only when Zhang Chen picked her up sideways and wanted to take her to the bedroom, would Xiaofang wake up, smile gently at him, and hook his neck with your hands. Today was different from usual. Xiaofang felt that her hair was almost done. She sat up straight, reached out and took the hairdryer from Zhang Chen, turned off the switch, and placed it gently on the coffee table. Xiaofang turned around, raised her legs on the sofa, and sat cross-legged on the sofa, looking at Zhang Chen. Zhang Chen also turned sideways and looked at her. Xiaofang and Zhang Chen said, "My dear, let me tell you something." Zhang Chen said yes and laughed, "What's the matter? You're taking it so seriously." Xiaofang nodded, "Yeah, it's very important. I'm going to start on eating men and women." So fast, Zhang Chen was startled, then blurted out. Xiaofang still nodded and said, "Yes, the time is almost up. The investors who are already interested are very capable and suitable. Lu Yun, Xiaohu, and I all feel that now is the best time for the around. Dear, do you know what your eating man and woman is now valued at?" "How many?" Zhang Chen continued Xiaofang's words and asked. Although Xiaofang mentioned an investor who was already interested, he was not interested in knowing who this person was. "It has increased by 12.5 times, and the valuation is 1.25 billion yuan. Xiaofang emphasized 12.5 times, wanting Zhang Chen to feel a sense of accomplishment. Unexpectedly, Zhang Chen was a little absent-minded and indifferent after hearing this. He said, "Food and drink is not short of money now, is it really in need of financing?" Indeed, since food and drink was officially launched, the funds on the books are not decreasing, but increasing every day. Because it is a hotel without a store, the initial investment is very low. The rented house is not a storefront house and the location is relatively remote. The area is not large and the rent is very cheap. The main expenses are the purchase of vehicles, personnel expenses, and training fees. But traditional hotels also need this part of the cost. After officially opening, compared with traditional hotels, they have no inventory and waste every day. What's even more amazing is that they are doing almost a business without capital. They purchase goods from Zaixian delivery and settle the bill after the total bill comes out the next day. Yes, but for customers, after every service order is completed, they can get the money immediately, which is equivalent to using the customer's money to pay for the next day's purchase. Every amount of money that comes in will be more than the money that goes out. After starting business in dozens of cities, it would be strange that the funds on their books do not increase every day. Food and drink is not short of money, and a company that is not short of money still needs to raise funds. Most people can't understand this reason, and there is no urgency to raise funds, so there is no need to be so anxious. Need Xiaofang said, "Money is a problem, time is a more important problem." "How much money are you planning to raise?" Zhang Chen asked. 160 million, Xiaofang said. Sure enough, Zhang Chen immediately said, "Can you please stop financing and pay for half an acre of land, or I can pay for it myself." Xiaofang reached out and held Zhang Chen's hand, shook her head. She said no, it was not designed this way. Xiaofang saw Zhang Chen's face gradually becoming a little solemn. Xiaofang said slowly, "My dear, let's analyze it carefully and talk it through, okay?" Zhang Chen nodded. "Tell me, do you not want others to enter the food and drink?" Xiaofang asked. Zhang Chen was silent for a while, and then he said, "Actually, I have been thinking about one thing during this time." "What's up?" "I'm thinking." Zhang Chen hesitated for a while, then continued, "I'm thinking if I can buy you, Lu Yun, and Ziahu's shares, or even, if necessary, half an acre of the farm's shares. I'll buy them all with my own money. Just as you said, the valuation is 1.25 billion. I'll buy it. I want to turn it into my own company." Xiaofang was shocked. She thought about the around. When she told Zhang Chen, he might hesitate and need to do the convincing work. What she didn't expect was that Zhang Chen actually had such an idea and wanted to diet men and women. The idea of turning into a sole proprietorship. Xiaofang asked, "Why?" "Thank you, Tin Soldier, for the reward, 2 fishes, one above and one below, third from top to bottom. Thank you for your monthly votes to Doll Tin Soldier, Weishir, Tamagotchi, The Vast Sky, Fantasy in the Wind, Li Rujin, Too Late to Think, Romantic Sakura, On the Road to a Nation, Book Friends 2020041621464535, Book Friends 1607151721477831. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Xiniang. Chapter 2061. Do you still remember the time last month when catering men and women were ordered to temporarily close their business? That was the time when guests had collective diarrhea at home and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention suspected food poisoning. Zhang Chen asked Xiaofang. Certainly. Xiaofang thought to herself, how could she not remember such a big thing, and it was last month? Wasn't this asking knowingly? When something happened that time, I was very nervous. I had never been nervous before, and I felt strange. That closure was the earliest time when your sister and I went to Sijiking to open a store. As a result, after the store was opened, there was no business at all in the entire market. At that time, we were very nervous every day. After all, we had invested almost all our money. In the stall, if the stall turns yellow, we don't know what to do next. Both of us are ready to go south to work again. Diet men and women is not. The investment in diet men and women is not big. Even if it becomes pornographic, it doesn't matter much. It has no impact on me at all. In this case, why am I still very nervous? I can't figure it out myself. When I was in Shanghai, I received a call from Xylee. It could be said that my hands and feet were cold, and I kept saying in my heart, "It's over, it's over." That night, I couldn't sleep all night. When I video chatted with you at 11 o'clock, I said everything was fine. In fact, I was about to collapse. I was restless all night and couldn't sleep. As soon as the launch ceremony was over the next day, I rushed to Hangzhou and drove all the way. I was photographed countless times, which was something that had never happened before. Doesn't it sound a bit funny to you? You will definitely say that it is just this one project, right? Zhang Chen said. Xiaofang nodded, then shook her head. Xiaofang said, "I know you will be very anxious if something happens to the eating man and woman, but I really didn't expect it to be as serious as you said. I didn't expect it myself. At the beginning, I was still laughing at myself. I criticized Xylee for not being calm enough and being unable to keep her temper when things happened. In fact, I was just as impatient as she was. I thought it was because I was older. I no longer have the courage of an ordinary man, and my focus on gains and losses has become heavier, but I think about it later." Zhang Chen paused here. Xiaofang still held his hand with one hand, and stretched out the other hand to push Zhang Chen's cup on the coffee table towards him. Zhang Chen said, "Thank you." He picked up the cup and took a sip of water. After putting down the cup, he continued. "When something happened at the Jibao logistics base, I wasn't so nervous when I was at the Public Security Bureau. Every time something happened to half an acre field before, I wasn't so nervous. Why was I so nervous when something happened to food and drink? I felt vaguely in my heart I feel that something can happen to the logistics base and half an acre of field, and even Tuxiang Garden can have something happen to it, but nothing can happen to food and drinking men and women." "Why?" Xiaofang asked. Zhang Chen smiled and said, "I don't know why. Anyway, that's what I felt in my heart. Later I calmed down and thought about it, and I figured it out. This matter has something to do with Fatty Fu. Food and drink is not only my company, but also it can be said that he fought hard to the last minute for Master Fu's company. Gu Gong was right about that cookbook. He said it was Master Fu's last song, and it really was his last song. Master Fu exhausted his last energy and used this cookbook to bid farewell to this world. To bring his life to an end, that's why he was still revising this recipe book the day before his death. He passed away very peacefully, and he was old enough. As the saying goes, he passed away at the end of his life. In fact, there is no such thing as the end of his life. Everyone knows his own body. Even if he has a cold or a cough, a person will still feel sad. When all body functions are about to stop, wouldn't he know? Of course he knows. Others can't tell. He is actually enduring and holding on. He just wants to walk with dignity and doesn't tell others. Master Fu just endured it like this and finished the recipe book. So after finishing it, he was eager to go back to Sanya. He knew that his days were running out and he wanted to die in Sanya. He didn't want to die in Sanya. He was tossing and tossing to trouble others. Even when he died, he knew that he was too fat and it would be difficult to carry him upstairs when he died. He was not in his room, but went downstairs to lie down and wait for death. That's right, he is such a sensible and decent person. To put it simply, he does not want to trouble others, whether he is alive or dead. To put it more highly, this is a person's dignity, or nobleness, this is his choose your own way to say goodbye to this world. At Fatty Fu's farewell ceremony, I saw Gu Gong crying bitterly, crying so sadly, I was also crying in my heart. Gu Gong said that this cookbook was Master Fu's last swan song. He left his swan song to eating man and woman. At that time, looking at Fatty Fu lying there, I told myself, I must not. If I live up to this trust, I will definitely make catering men and women the most amazing catering company in the country. For no other reason, just because eating man and woman is in my heart, it has actually become one with Fatty Fu. So when I heard that something happened to eating man and woman, especially something as embarrassing as food poisoning, I would nervous, irritable, guilty, restless. That's why you thought of buying back all the equity of food and drink and turning it into your own company, so that you can fully control it. You don't want to let Master Fu off, right? Xiao Fang said. I stopped Zhang Chen and asked. Zhang Chen nodded and said, yes, after thinking about it clearly, it is actually like this, including that I especially hope that Xiaoli and Du Tao can do a good job in this company. They are Master Fu's apprentices. No matter what happens to them at work, if they make any mistakes, I will only teach them, help them, and tolerate them. But I am a business owner myself. I know how many times investors view managers. They are very impatient and want immediate results, without giving managers any time. There will be conflicts between the two. Half an acre of land requires it's not your sister and me, but some joint stock company. Many things I do may not be tolerated by investors and shareholders, so I have been driven away a long time ago. But, your half acre of field was very successful, Xiao Fang said. That's from the results, not the process. During the process, there were many things that even your sister was opposed to in her heart at the time and felt that I had done something wrong. It's just that your sister has always been accommodating to me. For example, when I bought Yan'an Road, the house of the specialty store was doing well in wholesale business in Sijiking. Suddenly, I felt like I was going crazy and decided not to do it. I wanted to join an agency franchise. Although from the perspective of hindsight, this step was the right one, at the time, even Ayang and the stall owners nearby didn't understand. They thought I was just looking for trouble and was just having a seizure. Including the later merger with Kuning Garment Factory, which even Sister Tianlin was opposed to, and the later establishment of the Riverside Oil Painting Gallery, etc., where I bought a lot of oil paintings that were not worth anything at all in the eyes of others at the time. There are too many things like this. These things seemed silly and wrong at the time. In fact, I was the same, and I was just as ignorant. Some of them were pushed up and down, such as the merger of Kuning Garment Factory. Most of them were he was framed by Lu Cheng. Also, I was hot-headed and impulsive. I opened an oil painting studio, opened a restaurant, and built a logistics base, including buying a hotel in Sanya and setting up the World Tropical Botanical Garden. My success is not due to my unique vision or business acumen. Most of it depends on luck, and society changes too fast, but I was lucky enough to make the right move. I just did it in a daze, and then after a few years I realized that I had done everything right. That's it. If half an acre is not my own, how can the shareholders bear with me? Now at half an acre, they will support me unconditionally whatever I decide. That's because I have succeeded. Success. The success of a person means the right to speak, and others will think that his farts also smell good. These people from half acre field will buy my account. You and Lu Yunzia who are not buying my account or not, but they will support me because of my face. However, if new investors come in, they will neither buy my account nor look after me, and they will not let eating men and women develop according to my ideas. I was particularly worried that something like this would happen at eating men and women, so I had doubts about my original decision. Was it wrong? So I thought, either half an acre field or myself should take back the food and drink men and women. That way, I can do it according to my own wishes, so as not to live up to Fatty Foo's expectations and let food and drink man and woman really grows into what I want it to look like. Zhang Chen finished what he wanted to say and looked at Xiao Fang, who asked, "Are you done?" Zhang Chen nodded, "It's over." "Let me tell you what I think next, okay?" Xiao Fang asked. Zhang Chen said yes. "Dear, I understand what you said. You are not the only one who has this idea. Many entrepreneurs I have met will have this idea." "How do you say that?" "I cherish my own things. Ideas are my own and the company's the shelf is built with hard work by oneself. Entrepreneurs treat their businesses really like their own children. Indeed, children are cute no matter how you look at them. Entrepreneurs are like this to all investors. They welcome their money and smile on the surface, but in their hearts, they are resistant to them. I think you have a few stinkers. If you don't understand anything about money, why should you point fingers when it comes? They don't even think it's necessary to change their own style and management methods, let alone let others participate in management. I have seen too many entrepreneurs like this. This is what we invest in. We must directly. The reason for face-to-face communication with the entrepreneurial team is that if this team is a team that cannot communicate, no matter how good your project is, I will withdraw. Why? Because no one can guarantee that they are 100% correct. When your business faces risks, you still insist on going your own way and being stubborn. I'm sorry. It's not that I misjudged you, but that I was kidding about my investment. Why do you feel like I'm a bit like this kind of person? Zhang Chen said with a smile. Yes, you are, Xiao Fang said angrily. Someone told me that if you are with someone you get along with, you will be easier to get along with and more generous than anyone else. If you are with someone you don't get along with, you will be in the toilet. Stone. It's smelly and tough, right? Zhang Chen laughed and asked, did Tan Shuhen or Lu Yun tell you that? Thank you to Evergreen Yan Dottie, Hu, and Zipanjiang 1 for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone.